A man who wasted 34 years of his life is suddenly reborn as a baby, learns magic before he can properly walk, and becomes powerful enough to cast spells without saying a single word. But that isn't the shocking part, because even after gaining a new body, a loving family, and talent most magicians would kill for, he is still trapped by the fear that destroyed his first life. And before this season ends, that frightened shut-in will be stranded on the deadliest continent in the world, fighting to protect a girl who once punched him in the face. Rudeus opens his eyes and realizes the sound is coming from him. He hasn't survived. He has been reborn, not in Japan, but in a completely different world. A world of swords, magic, demons, and monsters powerful enough to destroy entire villages. His new name is Rudeus Greyrat. And here's the catch, Rudeus hasn't forgotten anything. Rudeus is born into the Greyrat family. His father, Paul, is a gifted swordsman, confident, powerful, and dangerously impulsive. His mother, Zenith, is gentle, intelligent, and trained in healing magic. Together, they give Rudeus something he never had in his previous life, a home filled with warmth. But while other babies are learning how to speak, Rudeus is studying the books inside his house. And one subject immediately catches his attention: magic. Look, magic in this world follows a very specific system. Most magicians cast spells by speaking an incantation. The chant helps them visualize the spell. So while nobody is watching, Rudeus experiments. He gathers mana, imagines water forming in front of him, and releases it. The spell works. No chant, no teacher. After seeing his son's unnatural talent, Paul hires a private magic tutor. And this decision introduces one of the most important people in Rudeus's entire life, Roxy Begaritt. She looks young, but she belongs to the long-lived Begaritt race. She is experienced, independent, and already a Water Saint class magician. At first, Roxy expects to teach an ordinary noble child. Basic reading, mana control, beginner spells, simple theory. Then Rudeus begins completing lessons that should take years, in a matter of days. He can already read. He understands magical theory. His mana capacity is enormous. And when Roxy discovers he can cast without chanting, she realizes she isn't teaching an ordinary student. She may be teaching a future magical genius. But here's the catch. There is one lesson Rudeus cannot master: going outside. Whenever he approaches the front gate, his body freezes. His heart races. His breathing changes. Because even though he now lives in a safe village, his mind remembers the people who attacked him in his previous life. To Rudeus, the world outside still represents humiliation, judgment, pain. He has been reincarnated, but his trauma came with him. Roxy could have ignored it. She could have focused only on magic. Instead, she takes him outside, not through force, not through ridicule. She places him on a horse and carries him beyond the gate. At first, Rudeus is terrified. Then he sees the fields, the open sky, the people working peacefully. Nobody is laughing at him. Nobody is attacking him. Nobody even cares that he is there. Eventually, Roxy teaches him everything she can for his graduation test. She asks him to perform Santier water magic, a spell powerful enough to change the weather itself. Rudeus succeeds. And before leaving, Roxy gives him her staff. But the staff isn't the most valuable gift she leaves behind. She gives him confidence. She becomes proof that another person can see his weaknesses and still believe in him. One day, Rudeus sees a group of children attacking someone with green hair. They call the child a demon. They throw mud, they surround their victim, and for a brief moment, Rudeus is looking directly at his old life. He remembers being surrounded. He remembers nobody stepping forward. So this time, he steps forward. Rudeus uses magic to scare the bullies away, then introduces himself to the child they were attacking. Her name is Sylphie. Sylphie. She is shy, gentle, and painfully lonely. Because of her green hair, people assume she belongs to the feared supered race. Rudeus doesn't care. He begins spending time with her. He teaches her how to read, how to study, how to understand magic, and eventually, he reveals his biggest secret: Chantless casting. At first, this ability appeared to be something only Rudeus could do. Then Sylphie tries it, and succeeds. That changes everything. Because it proves Rudeus's talent isn't simply a mysterious gift. Chantless magic can be learned if someone begins young enough and learns to control mana through visualization. Rudeus hasn't just discovered a rare ability, he has discovered a new method of magical education. But that isn't why Sylphie matters. She gives Rudeus something more important than power, a genuine friendship. But Paul notices a problem. Sylphie is becoming completely dependent on Rudeus, and Rudeus, without realizing it, is beginning to enjoy that dependence. He makes every decision, he teaches every lesson, he solves every problem. If this continues, Sylphie may never learn to stand on her own, and Rudeus may never learn how to build a healthy relationship between equals. So Paul makes a decision Rudeus will absolutely hate. He arranges for his son to leave the village. No warning, no proper goodbye. Rudeus is sent away to work as a tutor, so he can earn money for his future education. To Rudeus, it feels like betrayal. He had finally found safety, a family, a best friend, a place where he belonged. And now, it is being ripped away. But here's the truth. Paul has just triggered the next stage of Rudeus's transformation. Because inside a distant noble household, there is a student no teacher has been able to control. She attacks servants, terrifies tutors, rejects every lesson, and solves almost every disagreement with her fists. Her name is Eris Greyrat. And the moment Rudeus meets her, she punches him directly in the face. Rudeus realizes ordinary teaching will never work, so he creates a dangerous plan, a fake kidnapping. The idea is simple. Rudeus and Eris will be taken by hired men. Rudeus will help them escape, and Eris will finally understand that reading, mathematics, and strategy can save her life. Except, the fake kidnapping becomes real. The criminals decide the Boreas family's daughter is worth far more than whatever they were originally being paid. Suddenly, Rudeus isn't acting anymore. He is trapped, beaten, and forced to protect Eris from people willing to kill them both. This is the first time Rudeus truly understands something. Knowing powerful magic and using it while someone is trying to murder you are two completely different things. He uses magic to break free, turns the kidnapper's environment against them, and fights with a level of violence he has never needed before. But even that isn't enough. One of the kidnappers nearly kills him, until Ghislaine arrives. After surviving the kidnapping, Eris finally begins respecting him, not because he is her teacher, because when everything became real, he didn't abandon her. That earns him something no previous tutor ever received. A chance. She begins attending lessons, not happily, but she attends. Rudeus teaches her reading by connecting it to adventure stories. He teaches mathematics by showing her how merchants calculate money. He teaches her magic by turning practice into competition. And slowly, the girl everyone considered impossible starts improving. But Eris isn't the only one training. Years pass. Rudeus grows closer to Eris. The violent noble girl begins trusting him, and underneath all the shouting, the punches, and the arguments, something real begins forming between them. And while Rudeus is focused on lessons, something impossible is forming above them. A massive concentration of mana, growing larger and larger and larger, until one ordinary day, the entire sky turns green. At first, nobody understands what they are seeing. A glowing sphere of magical energy appears above the Fitz region. It is enormous, unstable, and completely beyond anything Rudeus has ever studied. Then, it explodes. No warning, no time to escape. A wave of magical energy tears across the entire region. And when Rudeus opens his eyes, the Boreas estate is gone. His family is gone. Ghislaine is gone. Everyone he knows has vanished. The only familiar person beside him is Eris. A shadow appears over them. A towering warrior. Blue-green hair, a red jewel in his forehead, and a three-pronged spear in his hand. Ruijerd Superdia. The moment Rudeus recognizes the name, he panics. Because in every story he has heard, the Superd are monsters. Merciless warriors who kill adults and children without hesitation. But here's the catch. Almost everything Rudeus has heard is a lie. Ruijerd doesn't attack them. He feeds them, protects them, and offers to guide them through the demon continent. Ruijerd is not the monster from the stories. He is a man trying to repair a reputation destroyed centuries ago. During the Laplace War, the Superd warriors were given cursed spears. The weapons increased their power, but slowly stole their minds. They attacked enemies, allies, even their own families. By the time Ruijerd understood what was happening, the world had already decided what the Supered were, monsters. The curse ended, but the hatred survived. For hundreds of years, Ruijerd has carried that guilt, and now, he lives by one rule: protect children, no matter the cost. That is why he helps Rudeus and Eris, not for money, not for fame. Because leaving 2 children alone on the demon continent would violate everything he has become. But Rudeus sees an opportunity. If the world hates the Supered because of their reputation, then maybe that reputation can be changed, not through arguments, through actions. And that idea leads to the formation of one of the most infamous adventuring parties on the continent. Dead End, the name is deliberate. Ruijerd himself is known as Dead End, because encountering him supposedly means your life is already over. Rudeus wants to transform that fear into trust. Every successful mission, every rescued traveler, every person Ruijerd protects, can weaken the centuries of hatred surrounding the Supered. It sounds simple. It isn't. Because before they can become heroes, they have to survive. And survival requires each member of Dead End to have a specific role. Ruijerd is the front line. His senses are superhuman. The jewel in his forehead allows him to detect living creatures around them. Eris is the attacker. She has spent years training under Ghislaine. Then there is Rudeus. He is the strategist, the long-range fighter, the translator, the negotiator, and sometimes the person forced to stop Ruijerd and Eris from killing someone. But they face an immediate problem. Their rank is too low. High-paying missions are restricted. Low-level missions barely provide enough money for food. And because Ruijerd's identity terrifies people, they disguise him. Rudeus cuts his hair, covers the jewel on his forehead, and presents him as an ordinary warrior. Then, Dead End begins taking jobs, collecting ingredients, searching for lost animals, hunting monsters, escorting civilians. In one city, Rudeus encounters a strange girl begging for food. She is loud, dramatic, and looks completely harmless. Then she introduces herself as Kishirika Kishirisu, the great demon empress. Rudeus isn't sure whether to believe her, but she is hungry. So he buys her a meal. That's it. He doesn't demand anything. He doesn't know who she really is. He simply helps. In return, Kishirika offers him a reward, a demon eye. Before Rudeus can properly process what that means, she presses her hand against his face. Pain explodes through his skull, and when he opens his eye again, the world looks completely different. Rudeus has received the demon eye of Foresight. Now here's how it works. The eye allows him to see possible movements a few seconds into the future. Dead End eventually reaches a coastal city. Home is finally getting closer. But crossing the ocean presents a brutal obstacle. The price is enormous, and transporting a Supered is nearly impossible. Human nations fear demon races. Officials demand massive payments. Smugglers control the routes, and everyone sees Ruijerd as either a threat or something they can exploit. Rudeus is forced to deal with criminals, corrupt authorities, and people trafficking beast race children. The situation becomes more dangerous than any ordinary adventuring mission. Because monsters are predictable, people aren't. Rudeus tries negotiating, planning, and finding a route that gets everyone across safely. Rudeus has crossed the demon continent. Dead End finally leaves the demon continent behind. For the first time since the Mana Calamity, home feels possible. Ruijerd's reputation is improving. Eris has transformed into a dangerous swordswoman. As Dead End travels through human territory, they begin hearing the full truth about the Mana Calamity. The Fitoa region wasn't simply damaged, it was erased. Entire towns disappeared. Thousands of people were teleported across the world. But hidden inside that city, someone has been desperately searching for Rudeus. Paul Greyrat. Rudeus enters a building, looks across the room, and sees his father for the first time since the disaster. This should be the happiest reunion of the season. Instead, Paul punches him directly in the face. No hug, no relief, just anger. Rudeus is completely stunned. He crossed the demon continent, protected Eris, survived monsters, smugglers, and criminals. And his father's first reaction is to attack him. Then Paul asks the question Rudeus isn't prepared to answer. "What have you been doing this whole time?" Rudeus starts explaining. The demon continent, Dead End, the missions, the languages he learned, the dangerous people they defeated, to Rudeus. This is the story of how he survived. To Paul, it sounds like his son has been enjoying an adventure. because while Rudeus was traveling, Paul was searching through the ruins of their home. He organized rescue groups, tracked missing families, fought traffickers, and listened to desperate survivors beg for information about their children. No one was found. But Zenith is still missing. Lilia and Aisha are missing. Sylphie is missing. And Paul has no idea whether any of them are alive. So when Rudeus casually describes his adventures, Paul breaks. He accuses Rudeus of forgetting his family. Rudeus immediately fires back. Was he supposed to magically know where everyone was? Did Paul expect a child trapped on the demon continent to solve a worldwide disaster by himself? Neither of them listens. Neither of them understands. And the reunion turns into one of the ugliest arguments in the series. Look, this scene matters because both of them are right, and both of them are wrong. Paul has spent months being crushed by responsibility. Every person he fails to rescue feels like proof that he failed his family. He drinks because he is exhausted. He lashes out because he is terrified. But Rudeus has also suffered. He woke up in one of the most dangerous places on the planet, with Eris depending on him. He fought every day to keep them alive. He didn't ignore his family. He simply had no way to reach them. The problem isn't a lack of love, it's a lack of perspective. Rudeus sees a father who refuses to acknowledge what his son survived. Paul sees a gifted son who should have understood the disaster faster. Their pain collides, and neither knows how to communicate it. Until Geese steps in. He explains what Paul has been carrying. The rescue missions, the missing families, the constant guilt. And suddenly, Rudeus sees his father differently. Not as the powerful swordsman who always had the answer. Not as the reckless adult who sent him away. Just a broken man. So Rudeus returns. He sits beside Paul and apologizes. Not because every accusation was fair, but because he finally understands the pain behind them. Paul apologizes too. And father and son embrace. This is Rudeus's biggest emotional benchmark so far. In his previous life, conflict made him withdraw. He hid. He blamed others. He allowed relationships to die. This time, he comes back. He accepts his mistakes, and he repairs the relationship before it is too late. That is real growth. But the reunion gives him a new mission. Eris still needs to return home, and Rudeus must search for the rest of his family. The journey continues. As Dead End moves forward, Rudeus receives the first real lead on his missing family. Lilia and Aisha are alive, but they are being held inside the Shirone kingdom. So Dead End changes direction immediately. The kingdom seems peaceful from the outside, but inside the royal palace, a prince has created a trap specifically for Rudeus. Pax Shirone, a spoiled royal who once studied under Roxy. Except, studied might be too generous. Pax spent most of his time harassing her. He became obsessed with Roxy. And after she left, that obsession turned into resentment. When Pax discovers that Rudeus is Roxy's former student, he creates a plan. Capture Rudeus, use him as bait, and force Roxy to return. It is childish, cruel, and somehow even more ridiculous than it sounds. The second Rudeus arrives, he is imprisoned. A magical barrier blocks his spells. His equipment is taken. And for one of the first times in the season, his greatest advantage is completely removed. No magic, no escape route, no control. Pax reveals that Lilia and Aisha are also prisoners. He believes that makes him untouchable. But Pax's authority has one fatal weakness. Nobody actually respects him. His soldiers obey because he holds their families hostage. His power is built entirely on fear. And the moment those hostages are freed, his kingdom of control collapses. Then another prince enters the story, Zanoba Shirone, a man with superhuman strength, a terrifying reputation, and an obsession Rudeus never expected, figurines. Before the Mana Calamity, Rudeus created a detailed figure of Roxy. Somehow, that figure reached Zanoba, and Zanoba became convinced that its creator was an artistic genius. The moment he learns Rudeus made it, he falls to his knees. He calls Rudeus, Master. Look, this is absurd, but it also saves Rudeus. Zanoba uses his position and overwhelming physical strength to challenge Pax. Meanwhile, Ruijerd frees the hostages controlling the soldiers. Pax loses his leverage. His guards abandon him, his authority disappears, and the prince who believed he controlled everyone is exposed as completely powerless. Rudeus is released. Lilia is rescued. And after months of uncertainty, he finally meets Aisha, his younger half-sister. At first, Aisha doesn't realize Rudeus is her brother. She only knows the embarrassing stories Lilia told her. So Rudeus hides his identity. and helps her as a mysterious adventurer. But eventually, the truth comes out. But Lilia gives Rudeus something that makes the reunion bittersweet. A small pendant. A gift Sylphie created for him before the Mana Calamity. Rudeus never received it. Lilia protected it the entire time. And holding it reminds him of the person still missing. Sylphie could be anywhere, alive, injured, or completely alone. The journey home continues, but Rudeus is about to meet someone who makes every enemy so far look harmless. Dead End crosses mountains, takes more missions, and moves closer to the Fitoa region. Then, a man appears on the road. Silver hair, golden eyes, calm expression, and beside him, a masked woman. Rudeus doesn't immediately sense anything dangerous, but Ruijerd freezes. Eris freezes. Their bodies start trembling. They are warriors who have fought monsters across an entire continent, and they cannot even move. The stranger introduces himself, Orsted, the dragon god, ranked second among the 7 great powers, one of the strongest beings alive. Now pay attention. This is the season's true benchmark. Not Eris, not Ruijerd, not Paul, Orsted. Because Rudeus is about to discover exactly how far away he is from the top of this world. Orsted looks at Rudeus strangely. Then he asks one question. Have you met the man god? Rudeus hesitates, but answers honestly. Yes. The atmosphere changes instantly. Orsted attacks. Ruijerd moves first. The same warrior who destroyed monsters across the demon continent is defeated in seconds. Eris charges next. She cannot touch him. Rudeus activates his demon eye. He sees the future, and it doesn't matter. Orsted moves faster than his predictions can save him. Here's the brutal truth. Rudeus is not losing because he made a bad decision. He isn't losing because he needs one more spell. He is losing because the gap between them is infinite. Orsted walks through his attacks, reaches forward, and drives his hand through Rudeus's chest. His heart is destroyed. His body collapses. Rudeus awakens in the strange white space where the man god appears. Even the man god seems shocked. He explains that Orsted carries several curses. One curse makes nearly every living creature fear him. That is why Ruijerd and Eris could barely move. But Rudeus was unaffected. His soul came from another world, so Orsted's curse doesn't control him normally. The man god reveals something even more important. He cannot see Orsted's future. The man god can observe possibilities, manipulate people, and predict outcomes. But Orsted is invisible to him. Whatever war exists between them, it is bigger than Rudeus understands. Then, Rudeus opens his eyes. He is alive. His chest has been healed, and Orsted is standing above him. The masked woman traveling with Orsted, Nanahoshi, apparently convinced him to save Rudeus. Why? Rudeus has no idea, but Orsted leaves him with his life. And a terrifying warning. The people at the top of this world are operating on a completely different level. After the battle, Dead End continues toward home. But the journey is almost over, and that means the group must separate. Ruijerd has spent centuries trying to repair the super name. Through Dead End, people have started seeing him differently. Not as a monster, as a protector. Rudeus helped give his mission a future. So Ruijerd decides to continue alone. The goodbye is quiet, but painful. Only Rudeus and Eris remain. Together, they finally reach the Fitoa region. Except, there is nothing left. No towns, no Boreas estate, no home, just empty land. The place they spent years trying to return to has disappeared. Then Eris reunites with Ghislaine. For one brief moment, she finally sees someone from her old life, but the news Ghislaine brings destroys what little hope remains. Eris's parents, Philip and Hilda, are dead. Her grandfather has been executed. The Boreas family has fallen. Her home is gone. Her family is gone. And the girl who once believed her name guaranteed her future has nothing left. Eris had lost almost everything. Her parents were dead. Her grandfather was gone. Her family's power had collapsed, and the home she spent years trying to return to no longer existed. Rudeus was the only person left who truly understood what she had survived. They crossed the demon continent together, fought side by side, protected each other, and grew from enemies into partners. That night, Eris asks Rudeus to stay with her. For Rudeus, it feels like the beginning of something new. The journey is finally over. They are finally safe, and after everything they endured, they can face the future together. Then, morning comes. Rudeus opens his eyes, and Eris is gone. No explanation, no proper goodbye, only a short letter. I'm going on a journey. We're not a good match right now. That's it. Look, Eris doesn't leave because she stopped loving him. She leaves because of Orsted. The battle showed her something she could no longer ignore. Ruijerd was defeated instantly, Rudeus was killed, and Eris could do nothing. She charged at Orsted and was brushed aside like she didn't exist. That moment terrifies her. Not because she almost died, because Rudeus died, and she was too weak to protect him. Eris believes staying beside Rudeus will only make her a burden, so she makes a decision: leave, train, become stronger, and return when she is powerful enough to stand beside him as an equal. In her mind, this is an act of love. But here's the catch. She explains none of it. She assumes Rudeus will understand. He doesn't. Rudeus reads the letter again, and again, and again. We're not a good match. To Eris, those words mean, I'm not strong enough for you yet. To Rudeus, they mean, you were never good enough for me. He doesn't know Eris left to become strong enough to protect him. Rudeus still has one reason to keep moving. His mother, Zenith, is still missing. Rudeus travels north alone, into the frozen northern territories. No Eris, no Ruijerd, no dead end, just Rudeus, and the thoughts he can't escape. To survive, he returns to adventuring, and it doesn't take long for people to notice him. A young mage, using advanced spells without chanting, destroying monsters before they can reach him. Soon, one name begins spreading across the north: Rudeus Greyrat. But his growing reputation hides the truth. Every quest, every monster, every dangerous mission is just another way to stop himself from thinking about Eris. Then he meets Counter Arrow, an ordinary adventuring party led by Suzanne, and their sharp-tongued archer, Sara. Sara dislikes Rudeus immediately. She sees a talented mage with noble manners and assumes he's arrogant. Rudeus doesn't argue. He simply joins their next mission and lets his magic speak for him. The mission turns into chaos. Snowdrakes attack from every direction. Counter Arrow's formation collapses, and the entire party is seconds away from being wiped out. Then Rudeus fires. Stone cannons rip through the battlefield. One spell, then another, until the monsters are gone. Counter Arrow survives because of him. And for the first time, Sara's opinion begins to change. Rudeus isn't pretending to be powerful. He is powerful. But the moment that truly changes everything comes later. During another mission, Sara disappears inside a monster-filled forest. Night is approaching. The temperature is dropping, and everyone assumes she is already dead. Everyone, except Rudeus. He searches alone for hours, following every clue, destroying anything that gets in his way. Finally, he finds her, injured, freezing, and surrounded by monsters. Rudeus doesn't hesitate. The entire forest erupts. Stone, fire, water, every spell he has. Seconds later, the monsters are dead, and Sara is alive. She once believed Rudeus didn't care about anyone. Now, he has risked his life to save hers, and that changes their relationship completely. Weeks pass. Sara starts spending more time with him. The insults become jokes. The arguments become flirting. And for the first time since Eris left, Rudeus begins to believe he might actually move forward. Then Sara invites him to spend the night with her. This should be the moment everything changes. Rudeus likes her. Sara clearly likes him, and he desperately wants to prove that Eris no longer controls his life. But when the moment comes, his body doesn't respond. Nothing happens. Rudeus realizes the wound Eris left behind isn't only emotional. His fear of rejection has become physical. He is completely impotent. Sara doesn't understand. She thinks Rudeus simply doesn't find her attractive. Humiliated, she leaves, and Rudeus is too ashamed to explain the truth. One misunderstanding destroys everything they had built. Again, Rudeus tries drinking away the pain, but while drunk, he says cruel things about Sara, and she hears him. Their final argument is brutal. Sara claims she never cared about him. Rudeus pretends her words don't matter. Both of them are lying, but neither knows how to fix it. So Rudeus leaves. No emotional farewell, No promise to meet again. He simply disappears. Exactly like Eris disappeared from his life. Only this time, he is the one walking away. Then Rudeus meets Soldat Heckler. Loud, aggressive, drunk, and completely incapable of minding his own business. At first, they hate each other. Soldat thinks Rudeus acts like a lifeless machine. Rudeus thinks Soldat is an obnoxious idiot. But Soldat notices something other people miss. Rudeus isn't cold because he doesn't care. He is cold because caring hurts too much. One night, Rudeus finally breaks. Eris, Sara, his loneliness, his fear that everyone he loves will eventually leave. Everything comes pouring out, and Soldat doesn't laugh. He doesn't judge him. He simply stays. Look, Soldat cannot cure Rudeus. He cannot erase the trauma, but he gives him something Rudeus desperately needs. A friend who sees him at his worst and doesn't disappear. That small connection keeps Rudeus moving. But his real turning point arrives inside a letter. The Ranoa University of Magic wants Rudeus as a special student. His reputation has reached them. The Chantless spells, the enormous mana supply, the mysterious magic connected to the Mana Calamity. They offer him admission and the freedom to research teleportation. That alone could help him find Zenith. But Rudeus still hesitates. Going to school won't fix what Eris did to him. Then the man god appears and gives him a strangely specific piece of advice. Go to Ranoa University, study the teleportation incident. And while he is there, his condition may finally be cured. Now, Rudeus is listening. The university may hold answers about Zenith, the Mana Calamity, and the problem destroying his confidence. But Rudeus has no idea that someone from his childhood is already waiting there. Rudeus arrives at Ranoa as a special student, but before the university accepts him, they test him against their strongest silent magician, Fitz, a white-haired bodyguard wearing dark glasses. The duel begins. Fitz attacks without chanting. But Rudeus instantly floods the battlefield, traps Fitz in mud, and ends the fight before it truly starts. The professors are stunned. Rudeus is officially admitted, but Fitz isn't upset about losing, because Fitz is actually Sylphie. During the Mana Calamity, Sylphie was teleported high above the Asura Kingdom. She desperately used magic to survive the fall, burning through so much mana that her green hair permanently turned white. After landing inside the royal palace, she saved Princess Ariel from a deadly monster. From that moment on, Sylphie became Ariel's personal bodyguard, Silent Fitz. Her short hair, glasses, and male disguise kept her identity hidden, which means Rudeus can spend every day beside his childhood friend, without recognizing her. Sylphie wants to reveal herself, but one fear keeps stopping her. What if Rudeus has forgotten her? While Sylphie silently panics, Rudeus begins building a new life. He reunites with Zenoba, the superhuman prince who still calls him Master because of his figurines. Zenoba wants to become a sculptor. There's just one problem. His hands are so powerful. He destroys everything he touches. Rudeus also meets Linnea and Persena, two beast race princesses who believe they control the academy, until they destroy one of his treasured Roxy figures. Bad decision. Rudeus challenges them, defeats them, and leaves the university's most feared students completely humiliated. But instead of becoming permanent enemies, they begin respecting him. Rudeus enters a research room and instantly freezes. Standing inside is the masked woman who traveled with Orsted, the person who watched the dragon god kill him. Silent 7-star. Rudeus prepares for the worst. Then she says two Japanese names nobody in this world should know. She removes her mask and introduces herself as Nanahoshi Shizuka. She came from Japan, but unlike Rudeus, she wasn't reincarnated. She was transported into this world in her original body, and she wants out. Nanahoshi hasn't aged since arriving. She cannot use magic normally, and she refuses to accept this world as her new home. Her only goal is returning to Earth. That makes her the complete opposite of Rudeus. Rudeus hated his old life, so this world became his second chance. Nanahoshi had a life she wanted, and this world stole it from her. But they need each other. Nanahoshi understands summoning and teleportation theory. Rudeus possesses an almost unlimited supply of mana, so they make a deal. He will power her experiments, and she will help him investigate the Mana Calamity. Then Nanahoshi reveals something terrifying. Her arrival may be connected to the disaster that destroyed Fitoa. One summoning event may have teleported thousands of people across the world. Fitz immediately becomes furious. The Calamity separated her from her family, destroyed her home, and changed her entire life. But Rudeus stops her, because Nanahoshi didn't choose this. She is another victim. And if they want to understand the disaster voice, they need to work together. Rudeus finally has real leads. Teleportation research could explain what happened to Zenith. Nanahoshi could reveal why people from Japan are appearing in this world. And Fitz continues helping him with almost everything. Research, classes, friendships, even his personal problems. Rudeus becomes more comfortable around Fitz than almost anyone else. He trusts him, relies on him, and occasionally feels something he can't explain. But he still doesn't recognize Sylphie. Not her voice, not her magic, not even the connection they once shared. And every day, Rudeus fails to recognize her. Sylphie becomes more convinced that he has forgotten her completely. Then an actual demon king arrives at the university. Begaritt. 6 arms, unbelievable durability, and a laugh loud enough to shake the campus. He has heard about Rudeus and challenges him to a duel. Begaritt agrees to stand still and receive one full-powered attack. Rudeus creates an enormous stone cannon, compressing so much mana into it that even Begaritt realizes this might hurt. The spell fires and blows the Demon King's upper body apart. The entire university goes silent. Then Begaritt regenerates, starts laughing, and publicly acknowledges Rudeus' strength. This victory confirms something important. Rudeus is no longer simply a talented child. His magic can damage beings at the highest levels of this world. But here's the catch. The battle he actually needs to win has nothing to do with power. Princess Ariel has watched Sylphie hide for long enough. She knows Sylphie loves Rudeus. She also knows Rudeus desperately needs someone he can trust. So Ariel gives Sylphie a choice: reveal the truth, or accept that Rudeus may eventually fall in love with someone else. Sylphie finally creates a plan. She invites Rudeus into the forest. Knowing rain is approaching, the two become trapped inside a cave, soaked, cold, and completely alone. Sylphie asks Rudeus to help remove her wet clothes. His hands reach toward her glasses, and the moment they come off, everything begins falling into place. The voice, the chantless magic, the memories of Buena Village, the child he protected from bullies. Rudeus finally looks at Fitz and sees the person who has been beside him all along. Sylphiette, the friend he thought he had lost forever, has finally returned. But recognizing Sylphie is only the beginning, because she may be the one person capable of healing the wound Eris left behind, and Rudeus is about to discover that the future he wanted was standing beside him the entire time. Rudeus admits the truth. Since Eris abandoned him, he hasn't been able to become intimate with anyone. His condition isn't simply physical, it is fear. Fear that the moment he trusts someone again, they will leave. Sara misunderstood that fear, but Sylphie doesn't. She listens, accepts him, and decides she isn't going anywhere. With help from Ariel and Luke, Sylphie prepares medicine that may help Rudeus overcome his condition. But look, the potion isn't what truly heals him. Trust does. That night, Rudeus finally allows himself to be vulnerable. And when he wakes up the next morning, Sylphie is still beside him. She didn't disappear, she didn't leave a letter, she stayed. That single moment breaks the hold Eris's rejection had over him. For the first time in years, Rudeus feels safe loving someone again. So he makes the biggest decision of his new life. He asks Sylphie to marry him. She says yes immediately, because for Sylphie, she has been waiting to give that answer since Buena Village. Rudeus and Sylphie finally begin building a peaceful life. For the first time across both of Rudeus's lives, he has something he never believed he deserved: a wife, friends, and a place that belongs to him. Everything finally feels peaceful, which means something terrible is about to happen. A letter from Paul changes everything. After years of searching, Zenith has finally been located. She's trapped inside one of the most dangerous labyrinths in existence, the Teleportation Labyrinth. Hidden deep within the Begaritt continent, Paul is already assembling a rescue team. Now, he wants Rudeus by his side. The timing couldn't be worse. Sylphie is pregnant. Leaving now means abandoning his wife during one of the most important moments of her life. Not leaving means abandoning his mother. Unsure what to do, Rudeus turns to the man god. As always, the mysterious being appears in his dreams. This time, his advice is completely unexpected. Don't go. According to the man god, if Rudeus stays home, everything will work out. Zenith will eventually be rescued. His family will remain happy. But if he goes, he'll regret it. Those words linger in Rudeus's mind. The man god has helped him before, many times. Ignoring him could be disastrous. Sylphie notices immediately. Something is bothering Rudeus. When he explains the situation, she doesn't hesitate. She tells him to go. Family comes first. She'll be okay, even though she's pregnant, even though she'll have to spend months alone. She smiles and sends him off. It's one of the most selfless moments in the entire series. Before leaving, Rudeus quietly promises, "I'll come home." After weeks of travel, Rudeus finally reaches the city of Rappan. Waiting there is Paul. This reunion with Paul is different. No anger, no fighting. Paul immediately pulls Rudeus into a hug, then admits the truth. After months of failed expeditions, he still couldn't reach Zenith. Rudeus doesn't blame him. He simply says, "That's why I came." Look, Paul once saw Rudeus as a reckless child. Now he sees a powerful magician, a husband, and soon, a father. Someone he can finally rely on. But there's no time to celebrate. Roxy is still missing, and every second matters. Luckily, Rudeus brought a book detailing the labyrinth's monsters, teleportation traps, and hidden routes. It isn't just helpful, it's basically a walkthrough. With Rudeus guiding them, Paul's party enters the labyrinth again. Paul cuts through the front line. Geese tracks the route. Elenalise and Talhand protect the group, and Rudeus destroys anything blocking their path. When a swarm of giant spiders surrounds them, fire could consume the oxygen. Earth magic could collapse the tunnel. So Rudeus freezes the entire passage. One spell. Dozens of monsters. Gone. Paul says nothing, but his expression makes one thing clear. His son isn't following the team anymore. He's leading it. Meanwhile, Roxy is running out of time. She has survived alone for an entire month. Her food is gone. Her mana is nearly empty, and monsters are breaking through her final wall. One reaches her, then another. Her staff falls. Her defense collapses, and Roxy realizes nobody is coming. Then, the entire corridor freezes. Every monster stops moving, and through the ice, a tall magician walks toward her. Roxy doesn't recognize his face, but she recognizes the magic. Chantless, overwhelming, impossible to mistake. Rudeus Greyrat. Rudeus sees her alive and immediately pulls her into a hug. Roxy panics. She pushes him away, mortified that she hasn't bathed in weeks. But Rudeus doesn't care. Years ago, Roxy carried him beyond his front gate and gave him the courage to begin living again. Now, her student has crossed the world and pulled her back from death. The roles have completely reversed. The teacher has become the one being rescued. After Roxy recovers, the full party returns to the labyrinth. This time, they aren't searching blindly. They know Zenith is close, floor after floor. The monsters become stronger, the traps become deadlier, until they reach a room containing 3 teleportation circles. One wrong choice could separate the entire party. But Rudeus notices something. The circles are too obvious. They're distractions. He asks Geese to inspect the floor, and beneath the stone, they discover a hidden staircase. At the bottom is one final portal, glowing, blood red. This is it, the labyrinth's true core. Zenith is waiting on the other side, but here's the catch. So is the monster guarding her, and Rudeus is about to complete the rescue mission that began 6 years ago, while losing something he can never replace. Beyond the blood-red portal, Zenith is trapped inside a giant crystal, alive. After 6 years, Paul has finally found his wife. Then the Guardian wakes up, a 9-headed Manatite Hydra, whose scales completely erase magic. Paul cuts off one head. It instantly grows back. Rudeus attacks. Nothing happens. Within seconds, the entire party is forced to retreat. Zenith is right there, but completely unreachable. Then Rudeus remembers a legend from Earth. Cut off the heads, and burn the wounds before they regenerate. It's their only chance. They return. Paul slices off the first head. Rudeus burns the neck. It doesn't grow back. The plan works. One head falls, then another, until only one remains. They are seconds away from winning. Then the Hydra attacks Rudeus. He cannot escape. Paul kicks him out of the way and takes the blow himself. Rudeus crashes to the ground. The Hydra bites off his left hand, but he keeps casting. Roxy burns the final neck, and the monster collapses. Zenith is saved. Then Rudeus turns around and sees Paul. His lower body is gone. Paul looks at his son one final time. No fear, no regret, only relief. His wife is safe, his son survived, and after a lifetime of mistakes, Paul dies protecting his family. The crystal shatters, and Zenith is finally free. But here's the catch. When she wakes up, she doesn't recognize anyone. She cannot speak properly. She doesn't ask about Paul. Her body survived, but her mind has been changed. So Rudeus technically completes the mission. He saves his mother, but loses his father, his hand, and the woman Zenith used to be. The victory feels worse than defeat. Rudeus completely shuts down. Paul died because he saved him. And now Rudeus remembers his parents from his first life. When they died, he refused to attend their funeral. He never thanked them, never apologized, never said goodbye. Now he has lost another father. And once again, it's too late to say what mattered. Roxy refuses to leave him alone. She reminds him that Paul sacrificed himself so Rudeus could live, not so he could spend the rest of his life drowning in guilt. In his weakest moment, Rudeus and Roxy cross the boundary between teacher and student. But there is one huge problem. Rudeus is already married, and Sylphie is pregnant. On the journey home, Roxy admits the truth. She fell in love with Rudeus when he rescued her inside the labyrinth. She doesn't ask him to abandon Sylphie, she simply tells him she loves him. Rudeus realizes he has repeated the same mistake he once hated Paul for. So he makes one decision. No lies. No excuses. Sylphie will hear everything. And she will decide what happens next. Rudeus finally returns home. Sylphie runs into his arms, alive, pregnant, and still waiting for him. Then Norn asks the question everyone has been avoiding. Where's Dad? Rudeus places Paul's belongings on the table, along with his ashes. Then tells them how he died. Norn explodes. She blames Rudeus until she notices his missing hand and learns that Paul sacrificed himself to save him. Her anger collapses into grief. For the first time, the Greyrat family mourns together. Then Zenith quietly reaches for Paul's gauntlets and holds them against her chest. She may not be able to speak, but somewhere inside her, a piece of Paul still remains. Now Rudeus has one final confession. He tells Sylphie what happened with Roxy and asks whether Roxy can join their family. Norn immediately demands that Roxy leave. Roxy apologizes and turns toward the door, but Sylphie stops her. Look, Sylphie doesn't pretend Rudeus did nothing wrong. She admits he hurt her, but she also understands that Roxy stayed with him when he was completely broken. So Sylphie accepts her, not because the situation is simple, but because she chooses compassion over resentment. And the Greyrat family grows again. 1 month later, a baby's cry fills the house. Sylphie gives birth to a daughter, Lucy Greyrat. Rudeus holds her and begins crying. In his previous life, he died believing he had created nothing. No family, no future, nothing worth protecting. Now, he is a husband, a father, and the center of a family people sacrificed everything to protect. Only now, does he fully understand Paul? Rudeus visits his father's grave. He tells Paul that Zenith is home, Sylphie is safe, Roxy has joined the family, and Lucy has been born. That is where Season 2 ends. Season 3 is about to bring every unfinished storyline straight to Rudeus's front door. But before that, there is another world where one disaster destroyed everything. Gojo was sealed, Sukuna took control, Shibuya fell, and Yuji was left carrying the blame. So click the next video for the complete Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1 and 2 recap. Everything you need before Season 3.